Long story why it was my favorite team. I grew up near Seattle because I thought Washington was our state, not the nation's capital, blah, blah, blah. But it is, so I grew up with a lot of, I loved them, and then the Joe Gibbs years, and then Dan Snyder takes over, and they are a tire fire for his entire ownership. It's just, even the moments they had an RG3, it burns out quick. This is fun. This is an incredible fan base. It reminds me of the Warriors pre-Steph. You forgot how good the Warriors were in like the 70s and how rabid the fan base was, and they were just sort of irrelevant forever. Washington's an unbelievably wealthy city. Their owner now is going to have a lot of juice, and I like everybody. But isn't it funny? Texans, Bengals, Washington. Get the quarterback right. That's 70%. That's the root of the tree. 75% of your issues are over. And I got into this discussion a while back with somebody who's an executive in the NFL that deals a lot with personnel. And not all executives do that. Some are operations people, some are personnel people, and most of my guys are personnel people. And I got into this, and I said, how do you know the guy is it? And I said, my take is there's got to be a wow. There was never a wow with Derek Carr. There's never been a wow with Dak Prescott. Dak's wow is that he's smart, he's an adult, he's a grown-up, he's an excellent leader. But there's got to be a physical wow. And you could say, well, what about Josh Allen? No, Josh Allen was all wow. He wasn't refined. That's why I don't get too caught up on stats on rookie quarterbacks. Most aren't ready. Most aren't refined. And it's why I've defended Kyler Murray, because I saw a lot of wow. I didn't know he didn't prep behind the scenes, but I saw the wow. But if you start, I was writing down a list this morning. That's why with Daniel Jones, there's no wow. The wow is his offensive coach. Arm, speed, size. Will Levis, sorry, gun show and cool hair doesn't count as wow. He's got a strong arm, but it's not Josh Allen. It's not Mahomes. And so with Jayden Daniel, when you watch him, regardless of his stats, and his stats are amazing, he looks like Lamar Jackson. He's about 90% Lamar Jackson running, and you also get accuracy that is like Joe Burrow in college, his last year. Like, what is going on? So not all these guys come in refined, or they get the right coach. But I said that when I watched Sam Darnold in college, USC, Penn State go to the Rose Bowl, he is making crazy throws with a bad coach. It's hero ball. You're like, whoa. Carson Wentz came in, never got refined, but there was a lot of size, arm movement, wow. And Mark Sanchez yesterday was talking about what he's seen very early with Jayden Daniels.
This kid has elite speed. He knows how to get the ball out of his hands quickly that way. A ton of pure progressions where he's just going 1 through 5. Boom, 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 boom. I know exactly what it looks like. I know exactly what I'm looking for. Cliff gets to go be a coordinator again before potentially he gets to be a head coach again down the line. And he's gotten better. He went back to college for a year, comes back to the NFL, and he's ready to go. He has a guy that can pull the trigger for him, and he's setting him up nicely. There's a lot of reasons for his success. Did anybody expect it to be the best in NFL history? No, of course not. That's the result. But the process has gotten better.
And there is no question, if you watch them in the SEC, outrunning SEC linebackers, there is wow stuff here. He's just more refined early than anybody could have guessed. The first ever Genesis.
Okay. I'm getting a little over these Lamar Jackson comps because he's not like Lamar Jackson because he's doing better than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson just does like a read and then he kind of like books it, right? Jayden Daniels is genuinely looking to throw, and when he runs, Jayden Daniels doesn't just use his speed or power in the ways that Lamar does. Jayden Daniels is such a more cerebral runner. It's so much more strategic. It's like he's looking at the field when he's running in a way that's like, you know, not unlike when you're a quarterback and you're looking to throw and you're going through your progressions, you're reading the defense. It's almost like he brings his quarterback brain to running. And to me, it jumps out. And I saw it in the one play in the design run for, I think it was a touchdown or a first down. It was definitely like near the red zone or in the red zone against the Cardinals. And it just, to me, it just jumped out. It was a different style run, which is why I then said when I talked about that a couple days ago, I was like, that's why he should never take a hit because he's too smart. He should never get hit. He should always be out of bounds and slide because he's too smart, right? He's clearly not just a big, strong, fast athlete. Like, he's way more than just that. And that's also why I think he will be great as well, just because what's going on up here seems to be high level as well. In terms of this wow, right, with Jayden Daniels, like, Colin saying you just kind of need one thing. I get it. I think a wow can take you a long way, and a wow is something that can be built off of. But for me, there's not this like singular thing. Oh wow, people keep saying Lamar Jackson because they see him as like a running quarterback, and I just think that that's kind of misleading. As someone who's watched every single one of these games in the NFL, because quite frankly at this point I don't really care what happened in college because it's irrelevant, right? Honestly, once you have 4 games in the NFL, anything that happened in college is like irrelevant. I don't care what happened in college. It's just, what is he doing right now? And it's just so much more than that, right? His ball placement, his ability to read the defenses, his anticipation, like it's so much more accelerated in a way where defenses aren't like, oh God, this is a running quarterback. What are we, like this is how we're going to have to game plan against him now. It's like, no, this is a quarterback who can seemingly do everything, right? Like literally everything. So I don't. That's also the problem with all these Lamar Jackson comps, because it's just kind of like run, and it's like, are you really watching what this guy's doing? And I know Lamar Jackson is more than just a running quarterback, but Lamar Jackson, without a doubt, his get out of jail free card, and when he reverts back to like when a game is getting a little bit out of control or just not going his way, it's just kind of like, I need to run. But he gets the ball and you see him he like takes a step back and he just like looks and it's like, all right, I got to go now, right? And he just kind of tries to find a lane, find a spot, and then he just takes off. It's a different mentality, right, with what Jayden Daniels is doing. Jayden Daniels is trying to execute the offense as a quarterback, and of course there's some design runs, but as a quarterback. And then when he goes through, as Sanchez said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's like, all right, if that's there, I'm going to hit it. If it's not, it's also kind of like, well, do I throw it away or do I take off? Is there room for me to run? And it's just done in such a more strategic way that I think is just being underappreciated, quite frankly. And it's funny. The other thing that I wanted to point out, and this is nothing against Colin or anyone else, but like the fact that this is a Wednesday story, depending on when you're watching this video, this posted on Wednesday, I also find a little frustrating, because for those of you who don't know, and I only loosely know, just because of the channel, it's Monday, Tuesday for the NFL. Monday, Tuesday, for content is, that's where the party's at, right? That's where everybody's ready to go, because you just watched your team on Sunday and everyone comes flocking Monday. They all want to see what is, what are they going to talk about? What are they going to talk about? What are they going to talk about? And it's seemingly Monday, Tuesday. And then things kind of start to slowly settle down Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then, of course, back at it Sunday. And although no real content's posted on Sunday. And so the fact that Jayden Daniels' rise has not really been emphasized on these Mondays and Tuesdays, and it's not until later in the weeks, I honestly find inherently frustrating. And I'm curious if Washington Commanders fans have noticed that. I mean, I'm obviously trying my best to post clips, and I post them on Mondays, Tuesdays, and all day. But it's just like, and this is what I said months ago, that the Washington Commanders and Jayden Daniels were going to face an uphill media battle. And a part of me, when I make a statement like that, because when you're making content, when you're making videos, even Colin, anyone, whoever it is, you don't always know 100% with what you're saying, right? No one ever knows 100%. And especially considering I'm not in a big studio, I don't have a team of producers. When I make a prediction, sometimes it's like, okay, like this is based off of like my true logic and understanding of everything. And sometimes that can feel like, okay, yeah, I'm using my brain to figure it out. And other times it feels like you're just making stuff up. What are you talking about, right? You kind of get the whole imposter syndrome, where it's like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just making stuff up. What do you know? And when I was saying, hey, the Commanders are going to face an uphill media battle, it was partly because of what I was experiencing creating content and just what I could see, as well as just my felt sense, my prediction. And it's just continuing to come, to fruition. It's proving to be true, but I don't know when that finally will break and end, right? Because it's like, and I've used this example, and it still seems to be consistent, where it's just like, Monday comes around, and it's like they're still kind of want to flock and talk about Caleb Williams, and it's not like Caleb Williams isn't worth being discussed, because of course he is, but I just don't understand it. I'm still struggling to understand how Monday morning Jayden Daniels isn't the first story on every sports show. That's what I'm like, at this point. Because what he's doing is literally historic, right? It's genuinely things that we have never seen before. And I understand, like, it is just 4 games. I'm not trying to paint that, Jayden Daniels is about to be the greatest quarterback we've ever seen in the history of the world, right? Like, he's going to come down. He's going to have probably a lower completion percentage. He's going to turn the ball over, right? Like, not to say that Washington Commanders have a one-way ticket to the Super Bowl this year and Jayden Daniels is winning the MVP, but it just feels like if this was Caleb Williams, if Caleb Williams was even just having like half the success that Jayden Daniels is having, it would just be talked about all the time, because we're talking about Caleb Williams' failures more than we're talking about Jayden Daniels' success. And it can't just be because Chicago is a massive media marketplace, right? And we know it can't be because of other political reasons either, right? Like we have 2 quarterbacks who are similar, right? For obvious reasons. And they're both picked 1 and 2, so it's not like Jayden was drafted, he's not Mr. Irrelevant, and it's not like he got drafted to the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is, a small market no one really cares as much about. Like the Washington Commanders, they obviously have a huge fan base as well. It's one of the top fan bases. So I'm like, that's where I'm just kind of struggling. Like, why are people not really giving this more attention? Is it because they still doubt it? Is it because they think it's going to pop soon? They think it's misleading, and so they don't, I'm still like, I can't get it. Because again, number 1 pick, number 2 pick, like it's right there. It's literally right there. It's Washington Commanders, East Coast, massive media presence, massive fan base. There's no other demons of the past. The past is the past now. There is no more big scary owner. That's done. They don't have the name that people don't like anymore, right? Like it's a new franchise, new everything, right? So that's where that's what I'm struggling to understand. When other people don't get the attention, I can conceptually understand it more deeply. And if Caleb Williams, because part of it was when I also said that they were going to face an uphill battle, it was because I also felt that Caleb Williams was going to get off to a hotter start, or just have bigger moments. And so I was like, okay, well, they have to pick between 2 quarterbacks. 2 quarterbacks have big moments. It's going to be Caleb Williams. If Caleb Williams has even just a semblance of success, they're going to lean on that, right? But like, that's obviously not how it's all unfolded. It's not to say that Caleb Williams has been a failure, but it's just Jayden Daniels right now, currently, first week of October, Jayden Daniels is playing like 3 steps ahead of whatever Caleb Williams is doing. So if you guys have an answer, by all means, please let me know, because I'm trying to reconcile this. I'm trying to figure out why this still continues to take a back seat. And then the problem is it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because again, Jayden Daniels is going to fail at least once this season, right? He's going to have a bad game. Like, it just, again, it happens to every single quarterback under the sun. And then like my feelings is that it's going to be used to say, oh, see, and then when he fails or has a really bad game, then they'll do a story on it. Then they'll say, was the hype too much for Jayden Daniels? Whatever it may be. And it's like, okay, great. Like, that's what you're going to now go talk about. So just been really interesting to see the whole story of Jayden and the Commanders as a whole unfold, considering they seemingly have a great team right now, a great quarterback, right? A head coach that everybody likes, Dan Quinn, a redemption story for Cliff Kingsbury. Like, it has all the good storylines, no political baggage to weigh it down to make you say, well, we got to not really talk about this. So please help me figure this out, because I really don't know. And it can't be because of all the things that happened in the past. It's just, we have short-term memory loss. So I just don't see it, that being the reason why. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Are you shocked how well Jayden Daniels is playing? And what do you think about the continued, lukewarm media attention? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.